So we are going to be looking at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are on episode 85, and in the last episode we saw quite a few major events taking place. The first one in which Oman built a dam across from the Middle East over to Africa. They then went ahead and joined up with the Triangle Alliance. This is really bad for Egypt because there's nothing flowing in to the eastern part of the Mediterranean anymore. We saw Oman invading into Pakistan, as well as Antarctica starting to melt. If you guys enjoy this series, make sure to like and subscribe. We're on the road to 3K at the time I'm recording this. We're at 2.1K. And we're trying to hit the 3K by the end of the summer. I'd appreciate it a lot if you helped out. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this scenario. So first, we are going to be going over to the ideology layer, in which, I'm sorry, but this layer is going to be getting deleted. This layer is no longer necessary to the story anymore. So say your final goodbyes to the ideology layer as it is gone. Renaissance has officially collapsed, and that was really the main thing driving the ideology layer. And I need to reduce down on some of my layers, so now that that is gone, I have just the right amount of layers. I don't really need anything else. So sorry if you liked the ideology layer. It's gone now. But now we need to go over to Germany, where all this weird whole stuff has been happening recently. And what we see happening is this little weird part of Germany. We see it invading into this Scottish part right here, and it just becomes one with this whole area. Immediately, Scotland is going to send troops down over to this area right here, and they're going to begin trying to take it back. But it's really weird because their troops just disintegrate. There's no trace left of these troops after they were sent there. And even worse, the Welsh are now invading them. And they're doing it quite well. Really well, actually. Like, it's really hurting, and once they get about here, they're finally stopped. Moving back over to this grayish thing, we now see them invading into their counterpart, or what used to be Germany. This was a breakaway area of Germany, and we see this rebellion going straight on into this area. This other state is going to go ahead and clean up the rest of it, while this gray one is just going to go ahead and go on into the Danish peninsula, stopping, and, well, it turns out they're not going to cross the water. This just leads to a cleanup by the yellow Swedish country. We also see this giant black Germanic country invading into this tiny little Swiss one. And yeah, like I said, there's something weird going on with this whole rebellious area. And they're not stopping either. They just go in, and there isn't even really a war or a peace treaty. So these things are very weird. But Wales is just making small invasions into Scotland at this point. But Scotland is just not surrendering. A smart general is going to tell the troops to go across and cut off just this from this. And that was pretty smart, because now they focus in on this upper area up here and wipe it all out. With just this remaining, they go ahead and surrender over to Wales. And now let's look at a peace treaty. In a peace treaty, we see Wales getting all of this land right here. Also get all these islands right here. Fixing this border a little bit, because I was being a little cuckoo and for some reason drew a black line border. But here are the new British Isles borders, and the Wales, they're back on top. Going down over to Oman, we see the Omanese, or that's what I think you call them, invading into this little peach country right here through their puppet state, and this country's very weak. They just die. And inside of this peace treaty, the Oman puppet state, or known as Yemen, is going to be expanding. And because of this, we see this pink country right here joining up with the Diamond Alliance, or WIMP. And just this area is very complicated because of all this stuff right here. The blockage of the Red Sea is not good for the Diamond Alliance, because there's nothing stopping from the East Mediterranean side from getting drained. But we actually do see the deconstruction of a dam, and that is this one right here. The Red Italians don't really need it there anymore, and they want the resources to build in other places, or just to build, but this next thing that's going to happen may cause some controversy. The Red Italians invade into Greece, and they're doing pretty good up in the north so far. The Greeks, at least the golden Greeks of what they are now, they were here from the start, and they were actually one of the reasons the Red Italians got kicked out of Italy and had to go down over to Venezuela. And now we just see the Italians focusing in all of their troops, at least a lot of them, on the Greeks. But the Greeks are actually holding their own quite well, even pushing back against the Red Italians. And the Greeks may be getting supplied by the Diamond Alliance. Over here, we actually also see Iberia invading into Algeria. Focusing in on the north and the southern parts, their capital is soon going to fall to Iberia. We also see them invading into this southern area down here. But even worse is going to happen when up here, this whole border with Bulgaria is going to get liberated. But you might have realized, if we look at it again, it started from up here and moved down. Yes, the Bulgarians allowed the Greeks to go through their territory to liberate it. The Red Italians are immediately going to push back into this area. But that's kind of weird, and now they're getting pushed back up here. And the Greeks are even invading into Albania. Albania does not want to be a part of Italy at all, and this whole drainage of the Mediterranean just makes that more and more. And now they're cut off, and this leads to a pushback by the Greeks. After the Red Italians get their you-know-what together, we see them focusing a lot more of their troops on pushing back this Greek offensive and restarting their offensive from the north into Greek territory. This one is a lot more successful. After they capture the whole Greek border, they begin to move down and capture the capital city. This time, they actually focus more troops on Greece. Knowing that all hope is lost, we see the Turks invading into the southern Greek island, while the rest of this falls to the Red Italians. Over in Algeria, Iberia just completely wipes them out. Same thing happens down over here. And these guys are given an option to be invaded or to join Iberia, and they're just going to opt to just join them. So now let's look at a peace treaty. Over in Greece, we see all of these areas being annexed by the Red Italians, while the southern Greek island is taken over by the Turkish. And over inside of Africa, we see Iberia annexing all of the areas that it invaded into. And the reason the Diamond Alliance accepted them doing this was because they want more coastline advantage than the Triangle Alliance, especially in the Mediterranean. Now you might be wondering, why is this dam still built right here between Iberia and the Iberians? Well, at that time, the Iberians were not a part of the Diamond Alliance, and they were kind of forced to by Iberia. And Iberia kind of controls like this area of Iberia. Pretty much they claim this little spot right here, and we'll be coming back here later in the video. Now going up over to Scandinavia again for this video, we see the Swedish country and the Norwegian country actually working together. If you remember, these two used to be underneath one singular country, and, well, they kind of missed that. So what they're going to be doing is the Swedish are going to be invading into the purplish Swedish country, and the Norwegians are going to do the same. All of the coastline gets captured by the Norwegians, and we just see a sweep between both of these two countries. The capital will be taken by the Norwegian side, and the war ends like this. Let's look at a peace treaty. And we see this pink Swedish country getting split between them like this. They now share a border, and now these two are going to send out pamphlets to the rest of the old Scandinavian countries, asking them to rejoin up with them. A lot of them are going to say no, except for a few. One of them is going to be this pink Swedish country, and that's just going to join right up with Sweden. And the other two are actually going to be these two Norwegian countries right here, joining back up with Norway. And the Scandinavian Union, it looks pretty likely that it could happen again. But we'll have to see in the next episode, because now we need to go over to North America. And we see a war breaking out between Baja California and West Mexico. Now, why are these two going to war? Well, the Baja California country is blocking a lot of supplies from going into western Mexico. And we actually see the Baja California country invading into western Mexico first. And that is because of the reach Baja California has, especially over inside of Asia, mainly with Japan. And they have a way better economy than western Mexico. So they are able to hire a lot of people to work for them. But overall, western Mexico has a better army, and they are going to get pushed back quite quickly. They get behind these lines and start invading into Baja California, completely capturing this front, and this whole area right here is going to fall over to western Mexico. We see western Mexico continuing their invasion into Baja California, and they get all the way up here. And that is until a solitated front line is set up against the Western Mexicans, and they are pushed back to about right here. And it is right here where we see the Aztecs invading into Western Mexico, the jump. Oh, those little Aztecs capturing the capital of Western Mexico. The Mexicans are going to pull the troops off of Baja California, and this leads to a pushback by the Baja Californians. And just Western Mexico is not having such a good time fighting up against one of the strongest countries in the world. And Baja California is just throwing the salt into the injury, but most of it is going to go over to the Aztecs. And instead of a peace treaty, we see the Baja Californians taking that piece of land while the Aztecs get the rest. And now there's really a few names you could call this: the Mexican Empire, the Yucatan Empire, but I'm going to call it the Aztecs, or you could also call it the Cuban Empire. I would either say the Yucatan Empire or the Aztecs. Going down over to Antarctica, we see actually it fully melting. Climate change and global warming has affected Antarctica a bunch. As well as from all those nuclear bombs ever dropped, all of this is going to sink. And also, because some areas inside of this Argentine country are also going to start sinking. And the southern South American border now looks like this. The waters are rising around the world, but in some areas like the Mediterranean, they're lowering. And the Red Sea, but we're not going to see that yet. Now we need to go down over to South Africa, where we see a military dictator coming to power inside this southern South American country. And we see them forming an operation against the purple South African country. I'm trying so hard not to say South American, I don't know why. But this goes really successful. The idea of uniting, especially from the people, is good. But from the actual governments of these three mainly, they don't really want to. After all the important areas have been taken by the orangish country, they surrender. And we see a new invasion into the pink one taking place. Their capital also gets taken, and they surrender. It takes some reorganizing, but the weakest one actually is now going to start getting invaded. This country is actually pretty dang weak. They never really upgraded their military from the 1900s. And yeah, that's kind of just stupid of them. As they go right up the coastline, connecting up with Namibia, I'd say. This is Angola. Their capital is just going to get absolutely destroyed. And they surrender. And in actually quite a popular move, all of South Africa is going to get united underneath this South African country. Speaking of Angola, we see them also getting a military dictatorship and carrying out operations into this yellow country. It goes really well, and the whole country is going to fall over to them, in which they fully annex this country. And now Angola is going to start building up their military for operations against 4 other countries, technically 5 actually. I wonder who those countries could be. But anyways, that is going to do it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. On the road to 3K. By the time I'm recording this, we're around 2.1. And we're trying to get there by the end of summer. Help out a ton if you joined along on the train to get to 3,000. And wait, what the heck just landed in the ocean?